Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and the last time I saw my twin brother was the day I caught him in bed with my girlfriend. That was 8 years ago. Now he's dying, and my entire family is blowing up my phone like nothing ever happened. Let me rewind. Back then, I was 23, juggling a full-time job and finishing my engineering degree at night. Amanda, my girlfriend, was my everything. We met freshman year, fell hard, made plans, Portland, engagement, the works. I thought we were solid. Then there was Ethan. My identical twin. But while we looked the same, we were built from different planets. I was spreadsheets and meal prep. He was bar tabs and late-night charm. No job, lived with our parents, who acted like he was the second coming of Christ because he could make a joke at dinner. Amanda liked him. At first, I thought it was harmless. She'd bring him up now and then. Ethan said this, Ethan recommended that. Then it turned into a daily thing. Ethan thinks I should apply here, Ethan's so funny. You know that gut feeling people talk about? Yeah. Mine was screaming. But I ignored it. Trusted her. Trusted him. Until one random Tuesday, I came home early. Walked into my apartment and heard noises, those noises, from the bedroom. I froze. My brain tried to invent 1,000 innocent explanations in 10 seconds. Then I heard Ethan laugh. That laugh. I don't remember opening the door, but I do remember standing there, watching my brother and my girlfriend scramble to cover themselves in my bed. Ethan looked like a deer in headlights. Amanda cried. Nobody said a word for what felt like a year. Finally I asked, "How long?" 6 months, she whispered. 6 months. I kicked them out. Changed the locks. Blocked their numbers. Thought that was the worst of it. I hadn't met the real betrayal yet. That night I called my parents. Thought, stupidly, that telling them the truth would mean something. That they'd be angry with Ethan, maybe even supportive. What I got instead was a crash course in just how replaceable I was. Mom answered cheerily, until she heard my voice. Ethan's been sleeping with Amanda. For 6 months. Silence. Then, what? I told her everything. How I'd caught them. How it wasn't just a one-time mistake but months of lying, sneaking around, smiling in my face while stabbing me in the back. I waited for outrage. Maybe even sympathy. Dad got on the phone. Now, son, he said like I'd spilled juice on the carpet. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. I told him I walked in on them. In the act? In my bed. Well, he sighed. Young people make mistakes. I nearly dropped the phone. They said I was overreacting. That Amanda wasn't my wife. That family is more important than some girl. That I should sit down with Ethan and talk it out like adults. My mom even said, "Don't be so dramatic." Dramatic. I hung up without another word. Sat on my couch staring at the wall like it might offer an escape hatch. By the end of the week, it was clear. They'd chosen him. Calls came every day, but none to check on me. Every message was about forgiving Ethan, not holding grudges. Putting family first. When I said no to a family dinner, they lost it. You're tearing the family apart, Mom said. No, I replied. Ethan did that. You just let him. So I did the only thing left that made sense. I cut them off. Mom. Dad. Ethan. Every cousin, aunt, uncle who said I was being childish. Every message that said, "These things happen." Every call that began with, "Jake, be reasonable." I blocked them all. They wanted peace? They could have it. Without me. You'd think cutting off your entire bloodline would feel like pulling the pin on a grenade. Explosive. Loud. Dramatic. But for me? It felt like silence. Like taking out the trash and realizing it had been stinking up the place for way too long. I moved to Portland alone. Originally, it was supposed to be Amanda and me. Instead, it was just me, a rented U-Haul, and the kind of heartbreak that doesn't show up in songs. I started over. New city. New job. Same name, but a different man entirely. The first few months were brutal. Every time my phone buzzed, I still half expected it to be Mom calling to apologize. It never was. So I buried myself in work. I got promoted. Then promoted again. I hit the gym at 5 a.m. every day like it owed me money. I dated casually, but the second someone asked about my family, it was over. People don't get it. Estrangement makes you look like the villain, even when you were the one bleeding. By year 3, I stopped expecting anyone to understand. I stopped explaining. And slowly, I built a real life. One with routine and respect. No guilt trips. No betrayal. No surprise visits from people who claimed to love you, but only when it was convenient. Year 4, I bought a house. Year 5, I started mentoring a kid named Jordan who reminded me of myself, sharp, quiet, a little wounded. Year 6, I started a consulting business. By year 7, I was turning down partnership offers because I was finally making enough on my own. Then came year 8. This year. 2 weeks before Christmas, I started getting texts. Hey stranger. Long time no talk. Family dinner coming up, would love to see you. It was like someone flipped a switch and my phone turned into a reunion flyer. The same people who hadn't said a word in 8 years were now suddenly remembering I existed. And I knew instantly, something was wrong. Because people don't wake up and suddenly decide to fix what they spent almost a decade pretending didn't exist. Not unless they need something. So I waited. Didn't respond. Watched the messages roll in like a slow-motion car crash. Every, "Hey Jake, hope you're doing well," felt faker than the last. And then came the call. Unknown number. 11 p.m. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. "Jake, it's Mom." I didn't say anything. "We're having Christmas dinner this year. Everyone's coming. We'd really love for you to be there." There was a pause. Too practiced. Too polite. Too wrong. "Why now?" She hesitated. "Because we miss you." 8 years of silence. Not a single birthday, not one call when I got promoted, when I bought a house, when I moved across the country. But now suddenly they miss me? Is Ethan going to be there? Another pause. Of course. That was all I needed to hear. Then I'm not interested. "Jake, please," she said, voice soft. "We've changed. We realize now that maybe we were too hard on you." "Too hard on me?" I laughed. "You disowned me because I wouldn't forgive your favorite son for sleeping with my girlfriend for half a year. And now you want to have cocoa and sing carols?" I hung up. But I didn't delete the number. I wanted to see how desperate they'd get. Over the next few days, the whole family got in on it. Cousins I hadn't spoken to since high school, aunts who used to call me the quiet one. Even Uncle Ron with his whiskey breath and bad advice, all reaching out like they were part of some carefully scripted performance. And then I found out why. Riley, my one sane cousin who'd moved to Seattle and actually had a soul, called. "Jake, I didn't want to get involved," she said. "But you deserve to know." "Know what?" "It's Ethan," she said. "He's sick. Kidney disease. He needs a transplant." I didn't say anything. They've tested everyone. No one's a match, except maybe you. And there it was. They didn't want me back. They wanted my kidney. You ever feel a kind of rage so quiet it doesn't even touch your heart? It just settles in your bones and sits there like a weight you carry around all day? That's what I felt. Not anger at Ethan being sick. Not even anger at the family wanting to save him. The fury came from the lie. The months-long performance. The warm, fake messages like I was some long-lost son they missed. When in reality, I was an organ on legs. I called Riley back. "So what, they were gonna ambush me at Christmas? Say grace, eat ham, then hit me with the donor paperwork?" "Pretty much," she said. "They thought if they got you there, surrounded by family, you'd cave." I thanked her. Hung up. Then sat in my living room, staring at my coffee table like it had answers. Ethan was dying. That part wasn't fake. But I couldn't stop remembering the look on his face 8 years ago. No apology. No guilt. Just shock that he'd been caught. And now, after almost a decade of silence, he needs me. The texts kept coming, growing bolder. From Dad. "Whatever happened in the past, we can move forward. Your brother needs you." From Ethan. "I was young and stupid. I've grown. Please, Jake. I'm begging you." Still no mention of the kidney. Just guilt wrapped in family branding. Then Ethan called. His voice was weaker than I remembered, hoarse like he hadn't slept. I know I messed up, he said. I know I hurt you. But I'm asking you to help me. I'm dying. I stayed quiet. I don't deserve it. I know that. But you're my twin. If you can find it in your heart. Stop, I said. Is this about the kidney? Silence. Then a whisper. Yes. And finally, a spark of honesty. You made your choice, I said. You made it when you slept with Amanda. When you stood there and let the family treat me like the problem. You made it when you stayed silent while they exiled me. I was scared. You were comfortable. You're really going to let me die? I closed my eyes. I'm not letting you do anything. I'm just not saving you. The fallout was nuclear. Within hours of that call, my inbox, voicemail, and even LinkedIn were flooded with messages. Apparently rejecting a guilt-soaked organ heist makes you public enemy number one. My dad sent a 3-paragraph email titled, "Don't let pride ruin your soul." He said I was being cruel, that Ethan had apologized, and that it was time to be a man and forgive. Mom left a voicemail sobbing so hard I could barely make out the words. How did we raise someone so cold? Even Grandma got in on the act. Mailed me an actual letter, because apparently when digital manipulation fails, you switch to the classics. Her handwriting was shakier than I remembered. But the message? Same old crap. Jacob, your stubbornness has gone too far. Your brother is dying. I raised your father to value family, and I expected better from you. If you have any love left in your heart, you'll do the right thing. Come to Christmas. Save your brother. Stop being selfish. Selfish. That word clanged in my head like a dropped wrench. I remembered her voice 8 years ago telling me Amanda wasn't even my wife. That I was acting like a spoiled brat for being hurt. That I should give them my blessing so Ethan and Amanda could be together in peace. I typed out my response. Grandma, you don't get to ask for my kidney when you couldn't even offer me basic empathy. What you called stubbornness was self-respect. And the right thing? The right thing would have been standing up for me when I was the one hurting. Don't contact me again. Hit send. Blocked her email. The next morning, I got a letter forwarded from my old address. This one was from Dad. Jake, I know we handled things badly 8 years ago. I know we should have listened to you. But Ethan has 6 months left. You're his best hope. We'll do whatever you want, apologize publicly, admit we were wrong, anything. Just please come home. Help your brother. It should have meant something. But it didn't. Because you don't apologize after you need something. You apologize because you finally understand why you were wrong. And they still didn't. By this point, it wasn't even about the kidney anymore. It was about principle. It was about dignity. It was about not being dragged back into a toxic orbit by people who only know how to orbit you when they want something. I sent Dad a letter. An actual, physical letter. Felt poetic. Dad, you say you handled things badly. But you still haven't said what you did. You don't acknowledge that Ethan betrayed me. You don't admit that you and Mom dismissed my pain, told me I was overreacting, and then kicked me out of the family for refusing to tolerate it. You say I'm Ethan's best hope. That's the only time you've ever used those words about me. Not when I got my degree. Not when I bought my first house. Not when I built a life from scratch after you all cut me off. Now that you need something from me, I'm your best hope? No. You want me to risk my body for the same brother who wrecked my trust and then watched you all treat me like garbage. You say you'll do anything I want. Well, I wanted support 8 years ago. I wanted love. I wanted someone to look at what Ethan did and say, yeah, that's messed up. Instead, you told me to forgive and forget. You told me Amanda didn't matter. That I was tearing the family apart by not pretending everything was fine. You tore it apart. You let Ethan tear it apart. I just refused to pretend it was whole. So no, I'm not coming to Christmas. I'm not donating a kidney. And I'm not giving you a happy ending where the outcast son saves the golden boy and comes home to a roast and applause. I've already built a life where I'm valued. I'm not trading that for guilt trips and fake forgiveness. Good luck. Don't contact me again. Jake. 4 days passed. Then Aunt Karen showed up at my office. Security called me. Sir, there's a woman here saying she's your aunt, and she refuses to leave. I went downstairs. Found her in the lobby clutching her purse like a Bible. Jake, thank God, she said. I drove 6 hours, please, just 5 minutes. I gave her 3. Your brother is dying. How can you be so cold? I stared her down. Where were you 8 years ago? She blinked. That was different. Exactly. Back then I needed you. Now you need me. She started crying. I walked away. Didn't look back. Ethan called me again. Different number, same desperate tone. I answered not because I wanted to hear him out, but because I needed to end it properly. On my terms. Jake, he said, voice hoarse like gravel. Please. I'm just asking for a chance to explain. No, I said flatly. You're not asking to explain. You're asking to beg. You've already explained. You just don't like that the answer is still no. He was silent, breathing through what sounded like a tired body and a half-broken soul. I could almost hear the hospital beeping in the background. And for a moment, I felt the tiniest flicker of guilt. Then I remembered standing in my apartment 8 years ago, staring at my brother and girlfriend tangled in my bedsheets like a scene out of a cliché betrayal movie, except it was my life. My future. My trust. My entire world reduced to a 6-month lie that ended with a door slam and silence. Look, Ethan finally said. I know what I did was unforgivable. I've spent the last 8 years telling myself I was young and stupid, but honestly, I wasn't. I was selfish. I wanted what I wanted and I didn't care who it hurt. I know that now. You knew it then, too, I said. You were just hoping I'd never find out. More silence. But this time he didn't deny it. That's not the part that eats at me, I continued. Because I can get over betrayal. People cheat. People lie. It sucks, but it happens. What I can't get over is the fact that when I told Mom and Dad, they acted like I was the problem. Like you tripping and falling into my girlfriend's bed for half a year was no big deal. Like I should just shake your hand and thank you for enlightening me about how fragile love is. I didn't ask them to take my side, he said weakly. You didn't stop them either. Not once. He sighed. I didn't know how. You didn't want to. Because for the first time in your life, someone else was taking the heat for something you did, and it felt good, didn't it? Comfortable. Like everyone still loved you. Like you could screw up and still be the favorite. He didn't respond. But his silence told me everything. And now, I went on, voice calm. After 8 years of nothing, no birthday messages, no check-ins, not a single word, you want to act like we're brothers again because your kidneys are giving out. Because I'm dying, Jake. I let that hang in the air. Then I guess you die knowing I finally learned how to say no. Jesus. He muttered. You used to be the kind one. No, Ethan. I used to be the one who took it. The punching bag. The peacekeeper. The guy who let you mess up because that's just Ethan being Ethan. Now I'm the guy who built a life without any of you, and I'm not giving that up, not even a piece of it, for someone who burned it all down. He was crying now. I could hear it. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt tired. Heavy. Like this chapter should have ended years ago, but no one let it. You really wouldn't do it? He whispered. Even if it could save me? I paused. I wouldn't do it, I said slowly. Because you didn't just betray me once, Ethan. You stayed silent while everyone else blamed me for not forgiving you. You let them paint me as bitter, prideful, dramatic, because that kept the heat off you. That wasn't a one-time mistake. That was a campaign of survival. And donating an organ to someone like that? I exhaled. That takes a level of trust one will never have with you again. He started to say something else, but I cut him off. This isn't revenge. This isn't spite. This is me finally respecting myself enough to not be used again. You were my twin. You'll always be my twin. But we stopped being brothers the second you let Mom tell me I was destroying the family by not pretending I was okay. That's when it ended. I hung up. Didn't block him right away. I just sat there with the phone still in my hand, heart calm, not racing, not shaking, just still. Like I'd been waiting for that exact conversation for 8 years and had finally delivered it word for word. Then I blocked the number. 10 minutes later, my phone started going off. Again. Messages from my mom, my dad, and uncle I hadn't heard from in over a decade. Your brother's dying. He's trying so hard. He doesn't deserve this. And of course, you'll regret this when he's gone. That one was from Dad. The same man who once told me to apologize to Ethan for causing drama. That was when I realized they still didn't get it. Not a single one of them ever asked what it felt like to be me. Not one of them said, I understand why you're hurt. I'm sorry we didn't support you. They were just angry I wouldn't fall back into my old role, the predictable one, the reliable one, the one who puts the family first no matter how much it costs him. Later that night, Amanda messaged me. Yeah. Her. I hadn't heard from her in 8 years. Not a peep. But apparently, when the guilt campaign is in full swing, even the ghosts come knocking. Jake, she wrote, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from. I need to say I'm sorry. Not for Ethan. For me. For what I did to you. You didn't deserve that. You were a good man. A better man than I realized. And I'm sorry I didn't see it back then. Ethan's dying. Please don't let this be how it ends. I stared at her message like it was written in another language. There was nothing cruel in it. It wasn't manipulative or angry. It actually sounded real. Honest. But it didn't matter. Because I'd spent too many nights asking why. Too many mornings wishing someone, anyone, had stood up for me instead of circling the wagons around the golden boy. I deleted the message. Didn't reply. Didn't block her either. Let her sit in the silence, the same way I had to for years. The next day, I went to the gym. My routine. Bench press, squats, row. I left dripping in sweat, sore and grounded. Then I walked home to my quiet little house, turned on some jazz, made dinner, and opened a bottle of wine. A normal Thursday. That's what it was now. Not a countdown to some reunion I didn't ask for. Not a build-up to a grand gesture of forgiveness. Not a chance for redemption. Just a normal day in a normal life, my life. And that was the point. Because I didn't need them anymore. I didn't need validation. Or closure. Or apologies. I needed peace. And I'd finally chosen it. Ethan may live. He may not. That's his story now. Mine is the one I'm still writing. Without apologies. Without regret. Without giving up another piece of myself to people who only remember me when they're desperate. And you know what? For the first time in 8 years, I felt whole. It's been 4 months since that final call. Ethan's still alive, as far as I know. I haven't checked, but I haven't heard otherwise, and I figure if he died, someone would have tried to make it my fault. That's how this family works, grief as a guilt weapon. Loss turned into leverage. But no one's called. No one's shown up at my door. The silence, finally, is real. At first, I kept waiting for the crash. Some emotional hangover. Some late-night spiral of doubt. I thought I'd wake up at 2 a.m., wondering if I'd made a mistake, heart pounding, covered in sweat, haunted by the thought that maybe I should have helped. That I should have given him a chance. That never happened. What did happen? I started sleeping better. I started laughing again, not that forced social laugh, but the real kind. The kind that bubbles out when something's actually funny and no one's watching. I joined a rock climbing gym. Turns out dangling 30 feet above ground with nothing but a rope and your grip strength makes you forget about old wounds fast. I met people who knew me only as Jake, not Ethan's twin, not the one who left the family, not the stubborn brother. Just Jake. Last weekend, I hosted a dinner at my house. 6 people. Ben from the gym, Jordan and his girlfriend, my boss-turned-friend Alex, and his sister Leah. We cooked together, drank too much wine, played terrible board games, and listened to vinyl records I forgot I owned. Nobody asked about my family. Nobody needed to. We laughed until midnight. Then everyone hugged, said they loved me, and promised to come back next week. I stood in the doorway after they left, house quiet again, dishes in the sink, music still playing low, and I realized something that stopped me cold. I had a family again. Not the one I was born with. Not the one that abandoned me for convenience, and came crawling back for survival. A real one. Chosen. Earned. Built with time and trust. They don't share my blood. They've never seen childhood pictures of me or remember the name of my first pet. But they show up. They listen. They see me. And that's what family is supposed to be, right? Not DNA. Not duty. Love. Love that doesn't come with conditions. Love that doesn't arrive in the form of a group text that reads, "Your last chance to do the right thing." They say forgiveness is freedom. Maybe that's true. But I think boundaries are freedom, too. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do, for yourself, and even for them, is close the door, lock it, and walk away without burning down the house. Let it stand. Let them remember. Let them wonder if you ever look back. You don't. Because the view ahead? It's finally wide open. And quiet.